Hi guys, and something a bit different. Just from a conversation, like the one conversation I have on the channel, and let me just check. Yeah. So, what have we got here? Well, this might not turn into a series, but it's one of the games I've been thinking about. You know, I've got quite a long kind of history with gaming in general. You know, I joke on my kind of YouTube title that I was gaming since like the 1800s or whatever it was. And what that is about is that's the date when the Babbage machine was invented. You can go and look that up if you don't know what it is, but it was kind of like the precursor to the whole field of computers. But from my own personal history, I actually started gaming back in the 80s. I was very young, and you know, for people off my age group at the time, you know, I was one of the few people, like at school and stuff, that had a computer. You know, it was a family member, I think an uncle, had given me one because he was upgrading to something else, but it was related to his work. So I was like mucking around on that. But yeah, so I've played a lot of games for, you know, over 20 years now, and in part what this channel is about is, you know, there are other YouTube people that cover this kind of stuff as well. I just wanted to put my own spin on it, but in part what this channel is about is to sort of introduce a historic awareness of gaming, you know, like not only where it is now, but maybe more importantly kind of where it's come from, and down the years of, you know, I wouldn't say I'm a fanatic gamer, but probably a lot of people I know would say I was. I'm just a very kind of like enthusiastic gamer, and I have quite high standards in terms of what I think makes games good or bad, and it very much isn't kind of where the majority of the industry is kind of crystallized and coordinated all its resources. Gaming isn't about how good it looks. That's a part, and it helps, but actually it's a much lesser part of the equation of what makes a engaging, interesting computer game from my point of view and my experience of gaming. So this is one of the reasons why I'd been thinking about this game. A brief description. Okay, it's football, and if you come from an area of the world where football isn't really kind of like a big thing, you're probably like going what and stuff. These same guys actually made a hockey simulator. Can't remember its name exactly, but like if you're Canadian or from Northern Europe, like Sweden or Finland, Norway, the hockey simulator they make is a good one as well. I think they only ever did a couple of versions of it, maybe. I don't know if it's still going, so it's very outdated, like this version of Football Manager I'm going to show us. But I would say you know, I like a couple of sort of games have stuck with me down the years. Civ is one of them. I have my favourites, and Civ 4 is definitely still, you know, as of 2020, Civ 4 is the Civ game to play in my book. It doesn't look as fancy as the other ones now, but just talking about core gameplay dynamics, and it looks good enough in my book. So Civ 4, you know, with the expansions, the Beyond the Sword expansion and the ones previous to that. That is really the pinnacle of Civ as a franchise for me. You know, the mods like I was showcasing with Fall From Heaven. And if you're in the market for like hardcore strategic kind of games, these football manager games, and I'm using that not in the brand sense here, but just in general, these football manager games, management games, were actually a source of like grand strategy going way back. I can't remember now the first ones I played. You've got, I remember on an Amiga, they were interesting machines. We had Sensible World of Soccer, and that was a very awesome arcadey kind of game, but it had a little bit of the depth of the management and strategic side behind it, which was quite nice, and really that whetted my appetite for these games. Now this game, made by Siga Interactive, they were taken up by Sega, and originally these guys, the Siga Interactive, they created the Championship Manager series of games, like way back 98, Championship Manager 98, might have been a bit earlier, I can't remember exactly when they started, but they were the guys, they were the serious hardcore kind of football fans who were also kind of like computer game makers, and they wanted to make a simulation about their favourite sport, and they've done it better than anybody in the world at this point. You know, forget FIFA, forget all these kind of like, you know, I don't know what those are, but you know, whatever, forget all those kind of console kind of like games. The original Championship Manager series that then became this Football Manager series, these are the games you want to play if you're looking for that particular kind of like hardcore treatment. I picked this one very specifically. I'm not a football kind of fan. You know, I don't mind catching the odd match on TV and stuff. I think I've only ever been to one football match in my life, and that is part of the reason why I've stuck with this particular one. So these guys, they left Eidos, I think it was, who carried on with the Championship Manager name, but they then went with Sega and sort of basically took what was Championship Manager and coined it as Football Manager. I played, I think, 2005-2006 season originally. It was just a 2D game, lots of, you know, statistics tables, that kind of stuff. This is basically it's a spreadsheet game. What I like about this particular version, the 2011 version, is it has the 3D match engine, which I think definitely helped improve, for me anyway, my immersion, being able to see the players play the game in a bit more realistic depiction than the 2D match engine. That was important. And also this version, the 2011 version, doesn't require Steam to play. I think all other versions after 2012 onwards is you have to have Steam to play the game, and I don't do Steam. Sorry about my cat just decided to vomit. She does it when she eats sometimes. It's very annoying. So we were talking about why this version. This season, so I'm not a, like I said, not a football guy particularly. In fact, this game helps me kind of appreciate and follow football more than I was. You know, growing up, I played rugby. I like watching rugby. That's my sport. But in terms of like computer game depth, a game that requires you to think and plan and strategize, they don't get much better than this. And this version in particular, for me, is the one I love for a couple of reasons I mentioned, but also a big important reason is like the one club I follow, which is Swansea City. They at this period in time, 2010-2011, they just won promotion from the Championship to the Premiership, so from like the second tier of football to the Premiership, and it's the first time a Welsh club had been in the Premiership. A long time ago, when the Premiership didn't exist and it was just called the First Division, the top flight, Swansea had also had a run of success in the top flight, like back in the 60s, 70s or 80s, something like that. I'm not sure when exactly. But this was their first time, or the first time, that a Welsh team within the UK had made it to the top flight of, you know, what most people call English football. And so it's quite a big thing, and they're, I'm not, you know, where you come from usually is kind of the team you support. But, you know, and each kind of team has a history and all this kind of stuff. And Swansea's has a really good one leading up to this promotion. There's a film called From Jack to a King, which basically tells their story of where they were nearly being kicked out of the Football League completely. So they would have been in non-league football. And they sort of transformed themselves and went on this sort of promotion. And it's a fairly uninterrupted sequence from like basically nearly being booted out of football completely and basically the end of the club. You know, it was founded in 1912 and that was going to be the end of the club. And then they went on this journey from that low point all the way up to this point where we joined them, and they've just won promotion to the Premier League. So it's really a nice point for me to get into and enjoy this game, just because of playing as them. Often, like when I play these games, like going back to the Football Manager 2005-2006, I think I always started playing like, you know, quite low level leagues and working my way up, you know, up the league system if I could, and all this kind of stuff. But having an opportunity to play Swansea here in the Premiership, it's kind of the first time I really kind of like felt that interested in playing top flight football and, like, you know, mixing with the Ronaldos, Neymars, Gareth Bales, you know, Michael Owens of this world. And it's quite nice going in as 100% underdog as Swansea City, and everybody, you know, we're expected to go down, as most clubs are when they first come up from the Championship, especially as it's our first time of being up here in the Premiership. So this is why we're going to play this version and this game, and that tells you who we're going to play. I should get on with it, I guess. So that's my introductory preamble. That just gets rid of people who are just here for something else. You know, if you're someone who's appreciates a little bit more detail, a little bit more depth, a bit more kind of calm and background story, then hopefully you can find something useful in that little preamble, you know, and why we're going to be doing what we're doing. So I'm going to load a game here. Yeah, so this is an older. So these ones here, my current game, I'm in year, you know, 2021, 2022 with the Swansea. But for us, it starts here. So I created this one like for a Let's Play start. And I'm gonna just load that up, because this is where we would have started the game. We've got a few friendlies set up. This is where I come into the game as the new manager of Swansea. So I'm going to click on here. So here we go. They've announced the appointment of the Mighty T as the new club manager. I'm relishing the opportunity. Make it into their team. There I am, Mighty T. So this guy, Hugh Jenkins, he isn't anymore, but for a long time he was the main guy. He was the director. He was sort of the owner, along with a few other people. But he was making a lot of the calls. for mostly good, but then it got a bit bad at the end, and eventually he left. Okay, so I've got a 2-year contract on 10 grand a week. Yeah, and there are a couple of people I do. So this is starting a new game. This is the kind of stuff we're going to see. It's actually quite a lot of work before we even play a match. I think I probably spent about 6 hours organising stuff. 5 hours, 5 or 6 hours organising things before I actually played my first game in this playthrough. Just because, like, there's quite a lot of detail to dig into. Pardon me, I've got a frog in my throat. Here's a background. Founded in 1912. You know, there's much older teams, but that's just the history of Swansea City. They're a professional wolf club. We're playing in the Premier League the first time. We're at our new stadium. We've got average training facilities and an adequate youth setup. This is debatable. We need to improve our youth setup for sure, and we need to improve our training facilities. The reserve team play at the Knoll, which is the name of the ground, which I think we share with the Welsh League team Neath. I think, possibly, I could be wrong on that. Like I said, I'm not. I'm really. So if you're a Swansea City person or you know Swansea City, I'm going to be making mistakes here because, like, I know the club through the game and a little bit of, like, research I got, you know, just from my own interest. We possess a youth academy and an average youth recruitment network. Now, what's important for the current health of our club is our youth academy. So in 2020, you know, and in a couple of seasons previous, we've had some decent players come through our youth academy. And one of the concerns is currently that under the current owners, this youth academy is, yeah, it's under threat just because of the financial situations of the club currently in the current day. And that would be a great shame because, I mean, all it's being used for at the moment is when a really good prospect comes through, we sell them on to a bigger club. So it's making us good cash at the moment. But more importantly, for the long-term health of the club, once we get into a better situation where we have owners that want to invest, this is going to enable us to, you know, bring on local talent more, develop youth players more, and have that as a useful part of the club. We've got an average youth recruitment network. Not really sure what those mean. I guess it's just like scouts going around looking at youth football, maybe. We're known as the Swans, that's right, and this is true. The rivalry with Cardiff City and the Swans Football Club, and I'm going to use the term in English football in general, it's one of the famous rivalries. Not many football fans hate each other as much as Cardiff City and Swansea fans in general. I mean, it's, you know, you have to go back to the 80s, I think, for the height of that sort of antagonism. But, you know, in football, you have the whole football hooligan kind of shtick, you know, whatever their thing is. And, you know, you've got the Millwalls, you've got some famous clubs. I think Chelsea had reputation at some point. And there's a few other, you know, and obviously that kind of part of football spreads all around the world, in Europe, South America, different clubs. You have certain fan bases or certain sections of fan bases that for them football becomes this sort of like militant, quasi-fascist, nationalistic game where it's all about going out and fighting with the other fans and all this kind of stuff. Whatever. You know, if that's the way you get your kicks, then yeah. It seems a bit juvenile and pointless to me. I understand being passionate about supporting a team and all that kind of stuff, but I think you can take it too far. It is just football after all, like grown men or young men kicking inflated bladder around a pitch, and that applies to rugby too. So we're the Swans. These are our enemies, if you like. So they're quite fun. Yeah, in the 2000s. So this was our run. This was the run I talked about from that was in the movie, From a Jack to a King. It used to be on YouTube. I don't know if it is anymore. But we basically, through the 2000s, we went from nearly being completely broken up and kicked out to this period where we're promoted to the Premiership. Like, you know, we've got some history here, 1925, 1949, when we were taking part in the Welsh Cup system. We won it a few times. Yeah, so we've got one guy at the club. I had to mod this one in. This game where we're kicking off now, it's a season later or something. There is a fan update that I've included. Am I going to be able to remember that? Is it LG fan update or something it's called? I'm basically running that, and that did through the transfer window period, that just shifted some people around. It wasn't 100% correct for Swansea, but it was pretty close. I had to make sure this guy was here because he came on loan for us. And we've got a young average, not so good goalkeeper who's away on loan. So then we'll chat with the people. So we'll go like this, and they tell you lots of stuff about them. So I'll go through these. He thinks he's best at that. He likes shooting training. So you know, this is the kind of thing. That's he's a Swansea hero and icon. He used to play for the club a long time ago. He's one of our very famous players. He's played for Wales. He's a local guy. He loves the club. He's sort of been caretaker manager a number of times. Not really his thing, but he's done it just because somebody needed to and he was willing to step up. So I've got a lot of respect for Alan Curtis as a guy. He's a really good bloke if you ever meet him. He's a really solid guy. I think he's sort of involved a little bit now. He's sort of retired officially, but he, you know, because he's local, he's still involved around the club and keeping an ear on what's going on and stuff. But he currently is, he's my assistant manager, and I'm definitely keeping him. Okay, then they're telling me about people. So, you know, there's a whole load of stuff here, which I'm not going to go into because I went through all this, and like I said, it took a few hours. So this is all changed. People are expecting us to get relegated again. I've switched this to be, instead of attempt to avoid relegation, to avoid relegation, because that's what we're going to do. And I get a little bit more money for that. But anyway, so that's that start. What I want to do now is I want to load where we're at, and I think it's this one. Because what I've done is I've reshuffled our friendly matches. Okay, we've played one already. Part of our let me do that. Let me do that. So we've got affiliated clubs. 4 of these clubs, we're in agreement that each year we play a friendly with them. Oyster Sons FK are a Swedish team, and we play an away game at their place, and all the funds for that match are kept by that Swedish club. I don't know what the connection is with these guys in terms of the history of the club, but I do know that recent history had seen an English manager had been running these guys, Potter, his surname is, and he came and managed Swansea for a season and a bit, 2 seasons maybe. He's one of, you know, he's a youngish English manager, quite highly regarded, talked about. He came and took over when we needed somebody, and he actually was quite a good guy for us. But he did move off because we were still, I think we were in the Championship still then, and he got an offer from a Premiership club and Brighton, possibly. I can't remember, but he moved on to another team. But it was their manager. And these guys in Sweden, they'd gone on a similar story to Swansea. They were like down the bottom of the league, and then kind of principally under his leadership, they rose up to the top or something like that. So there seems to be this historic link with this club in Sweden and that connection there, which is quite interesting. So we do a friendly at theirs. They keep the money. Likewise, Neath is a smaller club, local club to Swansea. It's a place, you know, just outside Swansea or part of Swansea, depending on how you want to look at it. Famous for their rugby team. Always remember the Neath rugby team back in the old days. They were a serious outfit. Not sure if they exist anymore, actually. But so they play football in the Welsh Football League, as do Port Talbot. So smaller teams than what you'd find in the English leagues in general, or I guess the equivalent would be like Division 2 or something like that. So we do a friendly at theirs, so it's a away game for us, and they keep the money, and the same for Port Talbot, and this just helps put money into smaller teams. Now these guys, they're a Dutch top flight team, and they come and play a home match at our ground, and we keep the money. So they're considered bigger than us, and they're sort of like a parent team, I suppose you could say. And then we've got another one with Newport County where we just send people on loan. So all these people, we can send players out on loan at the different levels they represent. So that was why we've got the fixture list. We've got that one was already done, and then I had to introduce these other ones to honour those agreements. And then I've also got us a home match against Celtic, so one, you know, the top Scottish team, and we've got a home match against a decent sized respected European team, just to give the players some exposure to that. So that's all been set up. What have we got going on here? So I'm going to go history. Yeah, so in reality, this guy was picked up by Swansea around this time. He did come and play for us, and he's a decent quality, experienced keeper. So I picked him up on a free. It's costing me £8 a week, and he's certainly off a level that's kind of good enough for where we're at. I guess I brought him in mainly as a sort of a backup keeper, but we'll see how it goes. You know, that's his value. So we brought him in. This guy, Edu, Brazilian midfielder, that was a bit of that was a coup, really. I'm very happy and surprised to get him. He's older. I think he'll probably be the oldest player at the club. But, you know, he's an experienced international player, very technical. You know, and he's got above average stats pretty much everywhere. Injury problems apparently, so we'll, you know, and he's getting older, so we'll kind of use him carefully. This guy as well on a free. He's a giant, an international player. The club has a Dutch connection, so I quite like picking up the odd Dutch player. If I go and look at the staff, yeah, we've got this guy. One of the directors is a Dutch guy, and I think he's probably behind the connection we have with with ADO Den Haag, and also we have a couple. Let's see, general info. Yeah, here we go. So probably one of our key players is this guy, Ferry Bode. If you just have a quick look at his history, So he was at ADO Den Haag all his career, yeah. We picked him up when we were in League One for the princely sum of £85,000. He was an incredible player. He got a terrible injury, I think, probably here. Like a terrible injury. Like it more or less ended his career. But so far that hasn't happened at this stage. He has had his injuries, I think. Does he have them in on his record? Yeah, look, so he's got some industry. You know, he has problems with his legs basically, and when he gets them, he's out for a long time. But when you look at his stats, you know, very technical player, beautiful passer. His creativity is really good. His composure and concentration are decent. He's got good flair. He's got a commanding presence on the pitch. His teamwork and work rate. In this game, 15 is considered like excellent. The stats go from 15 to 20, from 0 to 20. So anything above 15 is top class, yeah. And he's right on the border with a lot of these things. He's 15 in tackling, so he's an excellent defensive midfield player. Very good passing. His long shots are killer. He's great with free kicks, and he's a general skillful player. Not the quickest, but quality all the way through. And I'm just keeping my fingers crossed and hoping we don't get repeat bad injuries with this guy, because he's actually, his paper value doesn't reflect actually how important a player he can be if he's used well. So here's one Dutch connection that most people probably won't know about. I think sadly he's had to give up football because he had other health issues. So it's a bit of a sorry story for him in the end. This guy's new to the club, don't really know him. I'm going to sell him off. I haven't given him a club shirt. It's something I do with players that I want to end up keeping around. If they don't have it already, I'll give them a club shirt. But this guy, I think he's new this season for us. Yeah, he's come to us from AZ. I'll see. I mean, he's young, but I'm not convinced with his stats. So he was a guy that Brendan Rodgers brought in, it seems. So we got, and this was the guy. Now he became famous while at Swansea City. We were this new club just into the Premiership, and we did quite well. And one of the main reasons we did quite well was down to this guy. We got him for a steal, really, considering how his value kind of shot up. I can't remember how long he stayed with us, but he went on to represent, from his performance with Swansea, he went on to represent Holland quite a few more times, and he moved up. He moved on to bigger clubs, and we sold him for a song. So he's a good Dutch connection, and we were very lucky. You know, I think Brendan Rodgers had good contacts, and there were a sequence of managers around this time. After Brendan Rodgers, I think Brian Laudrup came at some point. So, you know, he's a name that most football players will know, one of Denmark's most famous players, and one of the world's famous players for what he represented in terms of football. So he came manage us, and we got some good players through him. And likewise with Brendan Rodgers, he was able to get some good players to come to Swansea, because, you know, we have to be kind of real here. Swansea are, you know, we're a team in Wales. Like most guys who play football in England, they look at Wales and it's like a weird place that they're not that interested in. So it's difficult getting players to want to come to play for the club in the first place. So it's really important, the quality of the personnel around, to help us bring those players in. And a couple of these better guys in our team have come through that kind of connection. So we were looking at, I was looking at the transfers and the history. So yeah, the German guy, good experience, German goalkeeper, kind of like backup goalkeeper in a way. But I wanted him because he was actually, he should have been here. He should have been at the club through this transfer window. Edu is just one I picked up myself, and the same with this guy. I just picked them up myself, and also this guy, an international defender, represented Ghana many times. He's already wearing the club shirt, so I've done the graphic change already. Compared to our defenders in general, he's decent. You know, he's near the end of his career, but he definitely will help shore up our defence, because one of the problems we have, actually let me look at our transfers again, because okay, we've got players going out. Who have we had in? We've had Tremor, Edu, so we've got a goalkeeper, midfield player, defender and a striker. I need something else, so let's have a look. I'm going to get my assistant advice just to give me a general report on the team. We've got a lot of depth, we're weakest in defence, so left back is a problem. Yeah, so this guy I have picked up in the past. He's available on a free. He's quick enough, and he's better than what we've got. Just like we've got this guy here at the moment, Federico Besson on the left back, Argentinian. In the championship he was decent, he was quality. At the level we're at now, he's a little bit weak link in the team. His level is championship level football, but he is our current senior left back, and we need a little bit of strengthening in that position. Everyone else is at a decent enough standard. I don't understand the rating for Wayne Woolridge there, but obviously our goalkeeper, he's our clear standout. Amazing player at the club, and saved us, kept us in the Premiership in fact, really. Our best defender is Ashley Williams. He's a Welsh international player. Our best midfielder is that Dutch guy Ferry Bode, if he stays uninjured, and our best attacker is that new one I just bought in, and that was quite a steal. So we're left back. What else? Oh yeah, yes. Okay, yeah, this is important. So I did reshuffle the staff. We're now within the parameters of what we're allowed. We had 4 physios before. We had a couple of doubling up here. We had a few more backroom staff than the board apparently were allowing us to have. I've increased the wage budget a bit to compensate for the new players that I've brought in. You know, we don't really have a transfer budget. You know, we've just got we're not a rich club. We don't have rich owners, anything like that. This I want to change. For me, this is always important to have like the best quality coaching staff I can get. If I go into our training at the moment, this looks like it needs sorting out. Yeah, it does. So I'm going to get rid of you from there, probably from there. So let's do some sorting out here. No, so he's just going to focus on tactics. Yeah, that's... yeah, okay, defending will do. Leave him 0, so he's got goalkeeper, can't do fitness, he's doing fitness. So these two guys are specialised in, you know, he's goalkeeping, he's fitness, that's fine. This guy... yeah, okay. So we want ball control. Are you going to be any good at it? I don't know. So if I take you off attacking, put you on ball control. No, it's pretty much the same, isn't it? Okay, so that looks like where we're at. Is it going to show me? Does it show me who I've got rid of? This is just players. Ah, no, here we go. Alright, yes. Yeah, so this is a really important part of the team situation as well. So I had 2 physios. One had just been at the club very shortly. One had been there for a year or 2. They just weren't very good at physiotherapy. Look at it. And again, they have stats up to 20, I think. So she just didn't seem good enough to me. I think this is one that had been there a bit longer. She was a little bit better, but overall I just wasn't kind of feeling it. So I asked them to leave, and that meant we've now got the 2 physios we're meant to have. We had this guy as a scout. Just, you know, his judging ability. So for me, these are the 2 important stats for scouts to have, and he wasn't good, so he's gone. He was a first team coach, and like again, his stats very determined, but that's it. Determined about what, I don't know. And he's off an age when retirement probably isn't a bad idea. I don't know how long he'd been at the club exactly. So 2001. So he's been here for like 10 years. He's from Liverpool. Yeah, he came from Liverpool, and he's had 10 years. So from 60 to 70 years old, he's been working with us. But he just wasn't quite at the standard I felt I needed. Lee Morgan again, didn't really bring anything. How long had he been with us? Doesn't say. Didn't say. But maybe not very long, but he's gone. And then our fitness coach was, you know, so this is what he's meant to be good at, and for me that isn't good enough. You know, and it's terrible for these guys. In reality, it may be different because this is just a simulator, it's not exact. But anyway, the stats just meant that they all got given mutual termination of contracts. And then I brought in one guy, this guy, Tosh Farrell, as a coach, because he's got stats. Very importantly, as a coach, he's got scout level quality of judging players' ability and potential. So if I want a coach report on a player, I will go to this guy, and he will give me a pretty accurate assessment of the players we've got. That's a very important source to have that stat within a coach at your club. He's great working with youngsters. He's got a youth coach. Originally he was marked down as a youth coach, but I picked him up as a coach. But I could move him to work with the youth team at some point if he wants to. But at the moment, he's our technical attacking coach. So yeah, very, very, for our level of club in particular, he's a great coach to have. These other guys are scouts I brought in. So we got rid of this guy here, Hugh Lake, who wasn't very good. I brought in this bloke who's really good. He's our top scout. So whenever I'm getting an opinion on a player, or wanting an opinion on a player, I'm going to ask him to give me the report. I think his task is to go around the UK and in particular look for the better younger players. So that's what I've given him the task of doing. We've got this guy here. So scouts at my club, I want them to have a minimum of 15 in both these skills. So that's quite a trick. All these are free transfers I picked up. They weren't attached to any club, so I didn't have to pay anything for them. So this guy is just basically going around the UK doing scouting for us, as is this No, this guy is the one going around the UK scouting for us. This guy, he's had some experience abroad, so I've sent him over to Europe, to Central Europe, just to give us reports of players there. So this was the shuffling in the backroom staff that's gone on. That was the shuffling in terms of new players I've brought in. We've just sold him for $1 million. That was great. Mark Gower's gone. We've still got we've got 2 players on the way out. Fairly confident those will go through. Most of the players we were selling this was all set up at the beginning of the game, so when I turned up it looked like this. They were all kind of our reserve team, if you like, were mostly people for sale. I did change this guy, so he's for sale, the striker, he's for sale, he's for sale. This guy's a youth striker, this guy's a youth midfielder, this guy's a youth defender, and they're not very good. This guy, I don't know what he's doing at the club, but he was officially at the club. He's come this season. We spent 100 grand on him, and he's definitely a reserve player for us. I guess it was backup just in case of industry, and he was just available. I don't know, but he's not great. So he's basically going to be a reserve midfield player. Alan Tate, stalwart of the club. He's actually at the club still now, in kind of working behind the scenes kind of thing. He starts this season with a bad injury. We've got this Scottish striker that nobody wants, and he's decent. You know, he's got pace and he works hard. He's okay. We bought him in the Championship, and he scored 3 goals for us. I don't think he's going to get a lot of game time in the Premiership with us. So he was already set up to be sold. I haven't changed that. I think the only thing I changed was I've asked for $1 million for him instead of 1.9. No one's keen. A couple of people want to loan him. So he's probably going to stick around in our reserves until someone wants to buy him or his contract runs out, I expect. Normally what I would do is I would go through my main team. So if I take off the reserve, I would go through this team and I would shuffle the second class players over to the reserve. But you upset players' feelings when you do that kind of thing, so I haven't touched any of that this time. And when the reserve comes up, I'm simply going to just put the players in I want. And also I've made sure that in the team settings, I'm obviously running the first team, and I'm making sure the assistant manager is doing none of the contract renewals for that. For the reserves, I'm controlling the team, and I'm made sure that the assistant manager is not involved in the reserve team either. And I moved the assistant manager over to take care of our youth team. So basically I'm going to be running and controlling both our reserves and our first team. I like doing that because it gives me greater control over the development of our players, particularly as youth players come up and they go into the reserves. I can kind of like look after them better. One of the downsides of this game is the way it simulates and models injuries can be quite brutal, and often an AI coach, even a good one, won't make the best call in terms of like making sure your players play when they're the fittest and they're not going into the match tired and risking injury. They tend to pick just the best player on paper. If he's alive and not injured and he's the best player on paper, then he gets in the team. Whereas I'm like, if they're under like sort of 80% fitness or something, then I probably will just put them on the sub bench. Maybe bring them on for the last sort of 15-20 minutes if they need it, kind of thing. So I control both. I will control both these games and we'll play both these matches as we get them. So who's our most valuable player? It's this guy, a striker, Leroy Lita. He came in this season, so Brendan Rodgers brought him in. Mostly he's played Championship football. It doesn't say how much he came in for. What can I say about him? He's got speed. You know, and not like the most speed. He's quite agile. He's fit and he's got decent strength. 25 years old. Yeah, I might take advantage of the fact that he's valued that much. I won't kick him out right away because he's only just come to the club, and that would be pretty mean. Yeah, you know, he's wanting to do well. Yeah, he's just turned up, so I'm gonna give him his chances, and we'll see how it goes. But statistically, when I look at him, I'm not very hopeful. You know, he's not really a hard worker or team worker. So yeah, he might be a player that we do end up selling at some point. Key players, it's Ferdy Bode. Actually, let's do a different stat. Let me do selection. I'm gonna go contract. So who's our wage most expensive player? Yeah, so our goalkeeper is rightly our most expensive player in terms of how much he costs us per week. Wayne Routledge is way too expensive. I feel bad saying this because we nearly, in like this year, we nearly got back up into the Premiership on the back of his efforts. And like, keep in mind that at this time he's like 30 something years old. He's right at the end of his career. You know, I look at his stats there, and he's a Championship level player, and we're paying him too much, in my mind, for this game situation and what the game is telling me about him. But he's very useful because he plays both left and right, and I think that's principally his main advantage. But yeah, so he came off the bench, this like 33-year-old veteran, this year, and you know, going into, we got ourselves sort of in a playoff position, but we were the lowest ranked team. We had a 1% chance of making it through the playoffs to get into the Premiership at the start of the playoff process. So we were the lowest rated team out of all the other teams in the playoffs. And he came off the bench, and we had to win a game by 4 goals or something. And I don't think we're not a team that scores lots and lots of goals. And he came off the bench and got 2 goals, one of them a header. The guy's 5'7". And he came off the bench, and there were like 20-30 minutes to go. I can't remember how long it was. And in those 20-30 minutes, he scored 2 goals. I don't know how many he'd scored all season. Like, he doesn't score a lot of goals, I don't think. But he came off and scored 2 goals, and like quite quality goals. It was something. So I feel bad when I talk badly about Wayne Routledge in this game, because in reality he's been a bit of a hero at our club down the years, and you know, he's near the end of his career, and I wish him the best and all that kind of stuff in reality. But yeah, so he scored the 2 goals, and the other we needed to win by 4, and we needed another team to lose, and that all happened. It just, you know, and in the end we just came up against a better team, and we couldn't get the next step. But our 1% chance kind of like worked, you know, and then it became like 15% or something, and then we failed. But yeah, so this guy right now, for the stats as we're looking now, he's getting paid too much. He's got a contract for 3 years. We'll see how that goes. Likewise, Leroy Lita, you know, he's our most valuable player, but I don't see it. He's got a 4-year contract, £12 a week. Now, Edu, this guy I brought in, he's older season, he is quality, and I think he is worth that money. And the same with our striker and our defender. So I think I've made very good, considering all these guys were free and the wages I've got them on, I've done a good job. So pat on the back, well done me. Oh, and the goalkeeper as well, the backup goalkeeper. And then we go down here. So there's our good but injury plagued midfielder. He's on a short contract. I'm going to want to change that. In part because I think other clubs are going to become interested in him. So this is the next important stat. So he's the guy on loan. He's wearing Cardiff shirt there. Sorry for Swansea fans if anybody sees that. So he did go and play for Cardiff too. But we had him on loan. He's got the potential to be a really, really good defender. He's just 18 at the moment. We're learning him from Tottenham. So he's with us just for the season. I might try and get him. We'll see how his season goes, but he might be someone I'd look at getting to try and get to the club. At some point, I'd have to do a shirt change for him. Yeah, so Verdi Bode, we definitely need to renew his contract. This guy, he's a stalwart of the club. Like, he's sort of been here since League One, and he's kind of come up with us, and he loves the club. Angal Rangal, I think he's left the club recently, and he really didn't want to. He really wanted to stay, but the club were just arses and didn't give him any kind of deal, and he was getting on a bit. But he's Swansea in his veins, this guy. And it's worth just going and watching a YouTube clip with him talking. Because honestly, a Swansea accent from a Spanish guy is just an awesome kind of accent to listen to. It's really unique. So not only did he stay at the club and love the club and want to keep staying at the club, he was sort of kind of pushed off really in a way. But he sucked in the culture and the language, at least the tone of the voice. So it's brilliant to hear him speak on YouTube with his wonderful Spanish Swansea accent. So we're going to renew his contract because he's just. I'm not going to do what the club eventually did. I'm going to keep him at the club forever, and I'm going to try and get him into coaching backroom staff roles because I think he deserves it, and I think in reality the owners and the club did him a disservice. I don't think I think he deserved to stay and retire at the club. So he's going to be one of my long-term heroes. I'll keep around because he's a good bloke. So a young guy, potentially decent. Apparently, I don't know. I don't think it ever really transpired for him. I don't know where he is now in reality, but he was one of our youth prospects at the time. So we'll see what happens to him. He's not needed. He can go. So we brought him in. So these are 12, Edu, Garrow, John, Richard, Vorm. So I'm okay up to here. Yeah, Ashley Williams is another player. Now, he was fantastic for us, and on the back of that, he ended up getting sold off to another club, and his kind of career basically fell apart. There's lots of conflicting stories. He's a Welsh international. I can't speak with authority on it, but I've heard rumours that he didn't enjoy. He doesn't love the club, and he was happy to kind of leave when he did leave. I could be wrong on that, but I think I've heard some kind of rumours around that. And it sort of starts early around this period. We've just got promoted, and other clubs come calling for him. right now at the stage this club is at, he's our best defender by a long way. And you know, he's a top quality defender at this stage in his career, and I'm going to try and keep him there. He's on, like, we've got him for 3 more years from our start date thing here. But honestly, the contract he's been given is rubbish, yeah. So he needs a pay rise, partially just to keep that off his back. Yeah. So my concern is our best defender could get poached if we don't look after him a bit better. And I guess that's it. I mean, honestly, the majority of this team are championship level. He's a youth prospect, Joe Allen. When Brendan Rodgers left the club and went to manage Liverpool, eventually he persuaded this guy to go with him. He's just 20 years old now. He's got the potential to be a top-class player. He's already got 2 caps for the national team. But he came through the youth ranks, and I'm going to keep him at the club. Again, he was sort of, I guess, just the offer from Liverpool was too good, but how I'm going to play it in this game is he's that valuable that I'm going to give him really good contracts. He's a player that has got a future at the club, and I'm going to keep him. I'm going to keep him at Swansea. You know, I like trying to keep the Welsh players. I like trying to keep the ones coming up from the youth. This guy, he did go off and play for Cardiff, which I found quite amazing, and he's got a Cardiff shirt there, I think. Yeah, I don't know what to do with him. We'll see. I think he's potentially decent. Did he come through? Yeah, so he's another one who's come through the youth ranks. Ashley Williams. Yeah, he was born in Swansea. So I don't know why he ended up at Cardiff. I'm not quite sure about all the ins and outs of that. So we'll have to see. See how he develops. If he's going to stick around and stay at the club, then I'll have to change his shirt. I guess. Yeah. So new guy, I don't think he's going to stick around. I probably won't change his shirt. He's new and he's decent. I don't know whether he's going to stick around or not. Yeah, I'm not sure. Where's he come from? So Brendan Rodgers brought him in from Benfica. He's been at Benfica most of his career. He wants to impress me. He's a backup to the first team. So he came in as a backup to the first team behind Michael Vaughan. And he's a good backup. I mean, he is actually really good. Well, he might stick around. If he does, I might have to stick a Swansea badge on his shirt there. Ashley Williams, so he's in his Swansea kit, so we'll try and keep him there. He's in Swansea kit, he should be staying. Stephen Dobby, Scottish guy. Top quality championship striker. Premiership level, not so sure, but he's strong. He's reasonably quick. And look, he's like the most determined guy in the world. And he's got a finish. So I'm going to give him a run, I think. In reality, I think when we got the promotion, he ended up moving on quite quickly. So the club, in reality, the club saw him as a championship level player and sold him on. And I think he went back up to Scotland. Not entirely sure, but we're going to keep him just because he's got a boot on him. He's strong and he's determined, and I'm going to give him a chance. Nathan Dyer, he ended up staying at the club for ages. He's just pace. That's all he does. Reminds me a bit of I'm not going to remember his name now. There's a really famous Welsh rugby player back in the 80s when the Welsh team was sort of, they were sort of on the wane in a way, but they took on a he was an Olympic hurdler. So a very fast guy, but like specialising in hurdles, and they took him as a winger to play on the wing in rugby. And so this guy reminds me a bit of him, in that really all he has is pace, because the guy couldn't tackle. Like, you know, he did work on it through his career. I can't remember his name now. But honestly, I think Wales were going through a period where they were trying to specialise certain parts of the team, maybe. So we had like an incredibly tall guy in the line out, who was like 6'8" or something, 6'9" maybe. And really all he was good at was being pushed up in the air to grab the ball when it was thrown in for line out time, and otherwise he wasn't really any good. And the same with the rugby player on the wing. Sorry, this was not no disrespect meant, but you know, he had pace. He was one of the fastest rugby players in the world at the time, but he wasn't really a rugby player. And this guy, I feel the same here. He should just be an out and out sprinter, this guy. I don't know what he's doing playing football. I mean, he's young and I guess he loves it. But anyway, so we've got a very, very fast kind of winger. Ferdy Bode we've met. He's this incredibly cultured, skillful, important part of the team that sadly in reality just injuries and ill health just kind of ended his career way too early. Edu's the guy brought in, the Brazilian international. I'm quite impressed they got him to sign for us. He's the Dutch guy again. I'm not sure about. Brendan Rodgers brought him in, so the previous manager brought him in, but I don't really see his strength, so he may end up going. This guy's a decent tall striker, a good target man, someone to kick the ball to on the head to do knockdowns for the other forwards. This is a guy that was up for sale and I brought him back because we suffer from a lack of skill on the wings, and while he's like a good championship level player, and a sort of an average to slightly weak Premiership level player probably. He's been at the club a while. Yeah, he's come with us from League One as well. And he's good at corners and crossing the ball in, and he's got some technique about him. So even though he's marked down as Swansea reserves, he probably will get some first team game time just because of his skills. That's the defender, the left defender that we need to improve upon. This is the new the Ghanaian international I brought in to bolster our centre defence. That's our goalkeeper. That's our wonderful Spanish-Welsh accent right back. That's the young guy who's wearing the Cardiff shirt, who might become a decent defensive midfield player. Now, Gary Monk, he's our captain at this point in time. He went on and managed the club like many years later. Just based on his stats here, he isn't good enough for Premiership level football. He's a Championship level player. So even though he's our captain, because he's got very high influence, and even though he's a core part of this team that's been around for a long time, yeah, when we were way back in League 2, yeah. So he's been on the whole journey with us. He's quite a pivotal character in the dressing room. So he'll get the odd game, but mostly he's going to be spending his time in the reserves, I think. And I think that kind of happened in reality as well. But he was fine with that. He stuck around, and then he loved the club that much he was willing to kick on. Wayne Routledge is that overpriced kind of left-right winger. Scott Sinclair, he's a new guy that's come in, so Brendan Rodgers brought him in this season for the Premiership. Very raw, a bit like the other guy, Nathan Dyer. Doesn't seem to have a lot going on other than pace, so I'll see. Yeah, so he seems to have mostly been playing his football on the left, even though he's actually mostly right-footed. So I'll probably give him specialist training for both left and right, and he could become a decent wing option probably. David Cottrell, he's a guy born in Cardiff, never played for Cardiff. So he's here for some reason. Did he come? It was this. No, he's been around for a while. So we got him in the Championship, and he's played a bit for us. Again, we've got a lot of pace, with not great skills players in our team, so he may end up being surplus to requirement. There's our new goalkeeper, so he's like a backup goalkeeper, decent backup option. That's our young potential right back. This is a young striker who's just not very good. Yeah, he won't progress really. I'll probably sell him off or let him just go. He's one of the, we got him in this season as well, so Brendan Rodgers brought him in. A bit like Leroy Lita, I don't really see his worth on paper, so I'm probably going to sell him. Danny Graham, yeah, he's sort of got potential, but he's so slow that it does get in the way. I'm just going to have to see. I've got a feeling I'm probably going to sell him on. He's come in this season as well, so he's another one that maybe I'll keep around for a season and then sell, depending on how he performs and stuff. Neil Taylor, got him from Wrexham, a young guy. He goes on and plays for Wales quite a lot, actually. He becomes quite a decent player in reality, and I think he becomes decent in this game too. So we'll keep him there. Leon Britton, now this guy, if there is one bloke that epitomises Mr. Swansea, it's Leon Britton. He's sort of been with us the longest. He's a super technical, hard-working, but small midfield player. Very skillful. In reality, not so much represented here, and I think the game kind of represents him as a decent championship level player, but not really a Premiership level player, which is, well, yeah, he sort of makes up for what he lacks in real life as well, just with his love and desire to do well for the team. He loves Swansea, and he's a guy that will kind of leave everything on the pitch through every game. So he's an important player, and we're going to work on his tackling a bit, I think, just to kind of make him a good defensive midfield option. And we're going to try and keep him at the club and give him back room. You know, again, he's another one. He was at the club for a long time. I think he's still involved a bit around the peripheries. But we're going to give him a good kind of retirement deal just for what he's done for our club down the years. And then this guy, he's going to go as well because he isn't good enough for the club. So that's our team. We've got a few people that are Premiership level. Yeah. Where do I find the information? Yeah. So here we go. So that's our Fierce Rifle Cardiff, but also Bristol, the two Bristol clubs. Media prediction is 19th, so I think that's relegation. Yeah, where can I find? We need to improve our facilities. Okay, so the fans liked my grabbing this guy on a free. They're very happy about that. I've got a feeling like maybe we're there. So the left back, I need to do something about the left back. It's frustrating. So we've got season ticket update. Okay, good. So he's gone. That's fine. So he was up for sale with us, and he's a championship level player. So that will make sense. So this is our first big match, really. So this is a team rated higher than us. Am I gonna some of my stronger players on there? So he's the new guy. It could be a bit risky bringing him in, so I'll put him on that side. Ashley Williams is our main defender. He'll go and help the younger guy. So yeah, he has to stay there probably. Who should I give a run on the wing? Guess that guy's tired. Okay, we'll give him a go. A lot of pace, but not much else. So he's tied on the left. So we'll put Scott Sinclair on the left. And I want to get some good players in the middle. So we're going to do probably Ferdy Bode there in a holding position. We're going to bring our Brazilian in place of Kemi Augustine. We're going to put Kemi on the bench. Oh yeah, the striker. I'm going to put him right up there at the front. And we're going to stick him with Dobby. So that's really, on paper, I think that's our most potent strike force. The new Dutch player and then that Scottish guy. But one of the main issues I've got here is all these players are tired. So Joe Allen can go there, and that means I can bring Nathan Dyer up to there. Okay, yeah, that's fine. So who can we place? Place him there instead. Jazz Richards. I'm just going to fiddle that around. So basically, yeah, these guys are tired. So let's get them down to there. Yeah. So I can get people on the pitch up to the goalkeeper, and then these guys are just tired. So maybe what I'll do is I'll switch him out for him just in case. Midfielder. Yeah. Okay, that should do. So it isn't my strongest team, and also I have a pre-season kind of formation, and what that, because for me pre-season's all about building fitness without getting injured, and I find often with the default sort of settings, if you like, tackle injuries in pre-season can be quite common. So I have a special preset for pre-season where we stand off more and our tackling is more cautious, and I double up on that in game as well, as you'll see now. So our new Brazilian guy is our main creative player, and we've got that huge 6'3" international Dutch player as a target man, which seems like a good choice. Pre-season's just 4-4-2. It's just a simple formation, and it gives me the greatest facility to kind of exercise most of our players, so we'll keep that. I'm going to do a save game here, and I'm going to do it on, yeah, I might do it as first match, so this will be where this will be where we're going from. You know, we've played one local friendly with a much kind of weaker team, but this is our first proper match against a better quality side. You know, they've been together longer. They're just a better team at the moment. So let's get this there. This is like, I guess I've been an hour and a half so far, and we're playing our first football match. When I say depth, strategic kind of quality and quantity, this is kind of what I'm talking about. I mean, I just did a whole big introduction to our team, you know, the club, this kind of stuff. So there was quite a big introduction there But this is, if I don't know if this is going to be a series yet, but if it is, this is the first in the series where it's very slow start, but we really dig down in the details. So I'm going to do a team talk, and I'm going to wish them luck because I'm not going to put any pressure on them. And the first thing we do is when we get to the match is I want to pause, and then I want to go up to here. Are we going to try and outpass the Dutch team? Maybe not. So I'm going to tell them to get the ball forward. I'm going to tell them to stay on their feet. And I'm going to encourage them to work it into the box so that it's easy for the strikers to try and finish the targets. But I don't want them going in with hard tackles. Yeah, and I just want to check down here. So key, I'm going to do extended for this match. So let's see. So they're getting the ball forward. That's good. Comes right back. Goes back up again. Now I'm not expecting to win this match. It's a new team, you know, and it's a bit of a weird mix. It isn't my best team, but it's the fittest team I can put out. And I'm expecting probably ADO Den Haag to win. But if we snick a victory, then that's great. This is really just more about kind of a good day out for the club and the fans, and some of the new guys we brought into the team, the Ado and Edu in the midfield and defence, just to get some experience. Oh, and the striker, Jan, and his name's crazy, like Venegorov Hassan gets a crazy long name. It's quite cool. So for the new guys I brought in to get experience. Corner. And I haven't set anybody up here, so I don't know if I've got the full team set yet, so I haven't given anybody specific roles. So it's going to make some weird choices, like here's a central defender doing a cross into the box, whereas really he should have been in the box ready to head it. So I don't know what that's about. I might have to look over that for our next match, but for now I'm just leaving it very free and open. Oh goodness, that good block. Somebody wasn't happy about something. Maybe they thought it was a handball. Oh, Ferry. He does tend to do a bit of that. He sometimes can be a little bit reckless. I can see something I've got to watch. Ooh, good kick. Okay, so I'm going to make a sub now. I through the pre-season and the matches, I keep this up because it enables me to keep an eye on the condition of my players. So our new guy Edu has taken a knock. So I'm going to bring on young Joe Allen. Just so we don't get any nasty, oh referee, come on. Is that a yellow card? He did kind of go in with his feet. Maybe he's just talking to. Okay, no, that's fair enough. Ooh, well covered by one there. Yeah, this, I think 2000, the Football Manager 2010 was the one that introduced the 3D match engine, possibly 2009. So they've worked on it, you know, they've worked on it a bit, and this is, oh, that was close. They worked on it a bit, and this is an okay version. Occasionally there's a weird bug that can happen where it sort of goes a bit stuttery. It just kind of varies. Pace, cross, shoot. Oh, someone shoot. Oh, go, you've got a foot. Oh, great shot, great save. But yeah, I enjoyed the 3D match engines. It actually plays a reasonable game. So they've done quite well with it. That was a great save from the goalkeeper. That was totally going in that top corner with a curl as well. See, why is he kick? I don't know why my central defender is crossing the ball in from corners, because he's got to run all the way back, and surely he's one of the players with really good jumping and heading skills. He should be on the end of the corner. Well, we'll see. Oh, this could be dangerous. Okay, nicely, both got in the way. Happy with that. So yeah, we'll see. I'll probably do some changes at half time. You know, with players and stuff. Might need to get in and just... Ooh, actually. I might need to get in and make sure that our central defender isn't doing those corners. This is dangerous. Oh, quick. Okay, nicely. Good play, Dobby. Go on, Bode. Come on. Yes. Oh no, he's too slow. He won't be able to get it. That's a shame. I think if it had been our other striker on the end of that, he would have had a good chance of getting that ball in front of the defender. So, yeah. We're nearly at half time. A goal now would be great. Go on, shoot! Shoot! Bodie! Oh, donkey. He's better than that. Okay, so 0-0. I'm happy with that. That kind of makes sense. Now, let's have a look. We'll check what our manager's saying. So, yeah, we're not doing possession football today. We're kind of kicking it up. So they're looking tired. We should think about subbing them. I want to do some stuff here actually. So we're going to have to sort this out. So he's actually quite good in terms of, yeah, and then form, and then Williams, Kolka here, because he's on loan. I don't really want to give him a position of captaincy. Oh yes, him. And then Williams. Yeah. Okay, so that's that. But this is what I was concerned about, were these corners. That guy really shouldn't be taking corners. Yeah, and he's only got 10, and I've got this guy on the pitch who's better at it. So we'll put him in for corners. Edu's off, unfortunately. Even Freddie Bode should be doing corners, although he does have a long shot. So I'll do something like that when we'll sort that out for the match better. So corner and direct free kick is going to be Freddie Bode for sure. Freddie Bode for sure. Edu as well. So we'll leave it like that. And then penalty takers, just so we've got someone there. So Cotterell, Dobby, yeah, all these guys. So we'll put him on there. We'll put him on there. We'll put him on there. And then we'll do the rest. Oh, well, maybe Leroy Lita, just in case he comes on. Okay, I think that's probably enough there. So let's go to condition. So he said Dobby and Bode were looking tired. So who can we get on for Bode? So Bode's playing that role. So we'll bring on Leon Britton for Bode. Dobby, yeah, we'll bring on Leroy Lita for Dobby. So the left back needs probably a bit of a break. The right back, we don't have a lot of choices for him. Like, we really don't have choices for him. Maybe what I'll do is, if I do that and then switch them around, I think he can cover right back a little bit. So that should do. Cotterell on the right. I'll bring in some legs, fresh legs. And we'll see how we do on the left. Yeah. We'll do team talk. I'm going to tell them to keep going. It'll be worth it at the end of the season. I'm going to change things around a bit. So we're going to try and out-Dutch a Dutch team. Ooh, dangerous. That's a goal. Oh. That, I guess, is the problem with switching players at half time, but I wanted to avoid injuries as a priority. Like I said, I'm not expecting to win this match. If I can get a draw, I'll be very happy. Ooh. Come on, Dyer, you've got pace. So at least it shouldn't be our central defender doing the corners now. It is. What are you doing? Oh, I'm gonna have to give him specific instructions not to do corners. Did I take off the people that were good at corners? It seems like maybe I did. Oh, come on. Yeah. These are these young wingers, like, lots of pace, not a lot of skill yet. I mean, they'll get better as they get more experience. The trick is going to be, like, trying to stay competitive enough in the Premiership that we don't just go straight down. You should have passed that. You should have passed that to the other guy. Okay, so the crowd don't like that guy for some reason. Ooh. So priority is avoid injuries, and we'll take whatever result comes our way. It's not, you know, we're not getting slaughtered. But it's a new team with a new challenge for sure. So it's a little bit disjointed. That's dangerous. Okay. Ooh, that could be bad. Watch out. Good. Yeah, so across the back I've got like youth experience, just to sort of even it up a bit. That's looking good. Not Dyer. Yeah, he can't shoot. 60 minutes, I think we will do a sub. And probably what that sub is going to be is we're going to shift Dyer over to the left, because he just came on at half time, and we're gonna switch out Scott Sinclair for Kemi, I don't have any more defenders. Oh no, I do have Gary Monk. So maybe Gary Monk is going to come on for the guy that was taking our corners. Ashley Williams is probably just going to have to tough it out. Do I leave this guy on and give him a chance? Because he hasn't been playing very well. Maybe I'll give him a chance. So I'll keep an eye on his health, and so I'd like to get him at least to like a rating of 6, because at the moment he hasn't been having a good game. I'd like him to have a better. Oh, go on, go! It's a goal. Yes. Okay, so our most expensive player did do the business then. Okay, so 1-1. A draw. I'm totally happy with the draw, and I'll be content if we do a narrow loss. But yeah, okay, good. Off his left foot as well. I think he's right-footed. Yeah, so there's our changes. So we've switched now. We're trying to play a controlling passing game, a bit like the Dutch, like Edio Den Haag themselves will be playing. So yeah, they'll be better at it than we are at the moment. You know, it's going to take time to get that kind of fluidity up for us. Get in there, come on! Don't no. No. Good save. Great save. Okay, oop. I can see a problem. So Joe Allen's picked up a knock. So we're going to switch. Okay, interesting. We're going to switch Joe Allen out for Jazz Richard Guy. I might switch him and Leon Britton around. So he's on 590. He hasn't lost any condition, so I'll keep him there. I just want to check. Yes, it should be Leon Britton now to that guy. So I hope I can get Joe Allen off before he gets worse. So like, oh goodness, that was close. Under 50%, he's right on 50% at the moment, under 50%, and there's a very high chance that they're going to get a bad injury, so I needed to get him off. So a bad tackle had gone in or something. We're not tackling hard, so it would have come in from their players. And it is one of the issues in the pre-season. The other teams, you know, depending on their sort of setup and style of play, they will do hard tackles and things. So, oh, somebody! Yes, it's Kadushi. Oh, that was a that was a chance. That was a good chance. Come on, Richards. Yes. Oh. Bit tricky. So Williams is a bit on one. Had to deal with the cat again. Okay, so let's have a look. So we just got a couple more minutes, so hopefully Williams and the striker can hold out. They're just above 50% fitness. Okay, yeah, very happy with that. No one was injured, 1-1 draw against a better team, so I'm kind of pleased with that. So I was just going to tell them, yeah, they were pleased. I mean, they kind of bossed it in terms of possession. A lot more shots on goal, but mostly off target, luckily for us. Yeah, and they were a bit handy with their tackles, so I think that's why. So that was a tough kind of day at the office for a 1-1 draw. We were lucky to draw. Yeah, I think that's fair enough. So we've got Pentagon, he's gone excellent. So we've had some movement in the transfer market. A couple of our players have gone. Yes, and so Neath is our next team. So that's just a local Welsh League team. Now and I want to check. I think, yeah. So nobody. Yeah, we've sold the players we wanted to sell, although there is that striker stuck in the reserves, a Scottish striker that we want to go, nobody wants. Left back. So we need a left back. So let me have a look again. So we've got this guy. I'm going to give David Hamilton, he's our good scout. So he's going to be the one we go to get the scout reports. Yeah, he's really just a left back out and out. Reasonable technique, tackling, pace is okay. So where was he before? Okay, he was in the Premier League. So he's been in the Premier League most of the time. Aston Villa, it seemed, and then Bolton. Played quite consistently. No injuries. I'll see what the scout report on him is. 29, so he's getting to the end of his career. Maybe he's lost a bit of pace. But he's certainly an improvement over the Argentinian left back we've got at the moment. Not very versatile, he really just has that one position. He's probably a bit too old to try and retrain to anywhere else. But I want to go here and I want to do player search. I want to do filtered. No, I want to do defender. Expired. How are we going to... Yeah, so we want to add age is at most, is between yeah, because we're looking for someone to play in our first team, so I might make him a little bit older. 25, 29. Doesn't narrow it down a great deal. because it's hard when you're doing this and you're just looking for the expired contracts, trying to find the quality guys. So there's the one guy we're looking at, trying to find the quality guys amongst the not so quality. Edit filter, I might do, so if I do that, yeah, that's narrowed it down nicely. Okay, we'll go through some of these. I think I'd like to pick up a UK guy. Ooh, what's his history? Championship, and then out. So these are, I think I'm playing with at the time kind of real players, but with hidden stats. Unless I know about them, I have to scout them to kind of see their stats. This guy. Okay, so let me compare him with this guy. So he's a year younger, he's a bit taller. Can we do an overview? So he's the dark one. So they're fairly similar. This guy's a bit better, and I guess he's bigger. So he's strong. Yeah, he's physically, he's a little bit slower, but physically overall he's a stronger candidate. He's much harder worker, good team player, more determined, better decisions, concentration, composure. So he's got some. So far, physically, mentally, just shades J. Lloyd Samuel. So they're kind of equivalent. A little bit of passer. He's better at heading. So this guy's better at dribbling, better at crossing. So yeah. Let's have a look at his profile again. Let's look at his positioning. So he defensive left. Okay, that's kind of more what I'm looking at. He's a guy that might be able to. So left foot predominantly. So he could maybe fill a role as centre back as well. Marking, heading, marking, tackling, jumping, positioning not so good, but he could be a backup centre back if need be. He's tall enough, and maybe we can work on his pace a bit and crossing. So I think I'm gonna offer him a probably like something like that. 2 years, 28, 29, 30. I'll give him one more year, and I'm going to give him one of these because if he is going to fill it at any point like a central defence role, I want him to know that his goal's going to give him a bonus. Yeah, very interested. Is that too much money maybe? I'm a little concerned because someone else is offering him, so maybe I'll do that. So he was happy with it. We'll see if he takes it. So where was he at? So he was at Manchester United a lot. Didn't really get a lot. So he was obviously a backup player at Manchester United, Manchester City rather. And then he went to the Championship and he was played there quite consistently. And Burnley. So I wonder why Burnley let him go. Didn't renew his contract anyway. So we'll see. And I guess if that doesn't go through, then we can have a look at J. Lloyd Samuel as well. You know, they're not like the best players in the world or anything like that. It's just an improvement on what we've got, and our left back situation is a bit weak. This guy, I quite like the fact that he's tall enough and he has experience to play. Here we go. View report card. So between 6 and about what we offered the other guy. And I think what I'll do is get a scout report as well from him. So even though we've offered him the contract, I'll get the info from our main scout. No. Yeah. Oh yeah, and I wanted to change all the stuff around. So let's go to training, players. Defenders, that looks fine. Midfielders, yeah. Forwards, yeah. Rehab is it's one I create where all they do is some aerobic and strength exercises, like very light, just while they're in injury status, because even general is, in my mind, if a player's injured and he's in general, it's too intense. So this is just for rehabilitating injured players, and I don't really mess with the other stuff too much. All this I would like much higher, but at the moment we're completely restricted by how many slots we've got from our board, and maybe we'll leave it there, guys, just as a test. Now this was just to see how it goes. So stay safe, and maybe see you in another one. Bye bye.